Welcome to Podcast, the Business of Dentistry podcast, brought to you by Practice Plan. Podcast delivers the best business advice, real-life stories, and practical hints and tips to make your practice a more profitable and sustainable business. And now, here's your host.
Hello and welcome to Podcast. My name's Hazel Dockery from Practice Plan, and with me today is Lisa Grogan. Thank you for joining us.
Delighted to be here. Been looking forward to this.
Now, Lisa, you're a sort of an executive and business coach, but I'm sure because you're based in Ireland, you're not going to be as familiar as some of the guests that we've had on our podcast. So would you please just tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in dentistry 20 years ago, this year actually. Can't believe it's been that long. I've tried to leave a couple of times, but I keep coming back. So I've accepted this is just where I'm meant to be. Started out setting up a private practice with a dentist in Ireland. We expanded quite quickly. He was very into like the high-end cosmetic work. There we expanded into Invisalign, and then I was commercial manager for 26 clinics around Ireland who provided Invisalign. From there, then I went on to manage a dental medical device company for many years, and about 2.5 years of the corporate world to work for myself. And kind of, I suppose, in the background while I was working, I always studied like psychology, executive coaching, neuroscience coaching. I just love the human aspect, and that's really kind of, I suppose, what my work is now. It's the human-centered approach to business performance, because it starts with the human. It all starts there. And, I think we need to be putting more of a focus on the human, because how can we perform at our best if we don't feel our best? So I suppose when I'm working with dentists or individuals, teams, we kind of take a look at, the holistic. Who are they as a person? How is their energy? How is their, their mindset, belief systems, and on all that kind of side of things. So it's, quite an interesting approach, but it's, I said, it's been very well received. And I feel it's something that's needed within in the dental industry, especially so fast paced.
Indeed, it is, and ever changing. It does sound like a really interesting aspect to be involved in. Now, the title of our podcast is The Limbic Leader, or Understanding the Limbic Leader. Now, obviously, most people understand that there are, different systems, and that the limbic system is one of them. You've got the reptilian, and you've got the brain, 3 levels, hasn't you? And then you've got the prefrontal cortex as well. So, but limbic emotions. Explain, please.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting concept, and I don't know why we don't talk about it a little bit more, because I said, when you think of business, you think of the practical element of the to-dos and the strategy and all that kind of thing. And yes, of course, that's needed. But ultimately, in the driving seat, whenever you're dealing with a human being, there's the emotions. And the emotions, as I mentioned, the limbic part of our brain is much stronger than the prefrontal cortex. So it's literally ruling the roost. So I think it's a really important topic that we need to be talking about. And I suppose the theme of the limbic leader is that we need to be kind of looking at a human being as a whole, as opposed to just, as I said, just get on with it. And our teams are looking for leaders who can make them feel safe and secure. And not just leaders, they're looking for colleagues, friends, relationships, everything. Our nervous system is, and this is at a very subconscious level, is looking for somebody. Do I feel safe with you? Do I trust you? And I feel confident. Even when our patients are coming in the door, again, at a subconscious level, this is what they're scanning for. And if you can make a person feel safe and secure, whether that be your team, your patient, or whoever it is, that is just the key to where everything needs to be at the moment. And to understand that at an emotional level, I feel is so important now more than ever, because, I know my generation, we didn't talk about emotions a whole lot, whereas the younger generations are being educated on this. As I said, children are coming home identifying their emotions with colours. So if they're angry, I'm a bit red today, I'm feeling a bit yellow, I'm happy. So this is the language that they are being brought up with. So we kind of have to step into this space, especially as leaders in an organisation. Really, really important.
Yes, it is. I mean, is this kindness by another name?
That's part of it. It's, there's quite a bit in it, it's empathy is massive. That kind of self-awareness piece, to be able to just check in as a human being. And I think a lot of business owners are very worried of, first of all, where am I going to find the time to have these deep conversations, or am I going to have to be a psychologist? And that's the biggest fear. Like, I'm not trained to kind of help people on that kind of psychological level. And you don't have to, absolutely do not have to, right? Just if you see somebody who was struggling severely, yes, I think it's important for us to be able to say, I think you should seek help, and have you spoken to anybody about it? But there's a lovely little exercise that I talk to a lot of people about, that I think is great for any leaders to be able to do with their teams, and it just takes seconds. So, and I used to do it with my team. So I do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, you feel amazing. 1, you are on the floor, and
Yeah.
get your team members to just do that quick. Oh, I feel like a 4. I feel like a 2. I feel like 3, whatever, and just take a quick note of it. And anybody who scores, say 3 or under, just pull them aside later on the day and say, you gave yourself a 3 today. Just, is there anything going on? Is there anything you want to talk about? And they could say, I didn't sleep great last night, or my child is not well and I'm just a bit worried about them. And say, okay, look, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, well, listen, I'll check in on you tomorrow. And then just pick the conversation back up tomorrow. Just going to see how you're doing. And even that simple little reaction will make that team member feel so valued, you know. So again, you don't have to get into the depths of things, but just do a quick little check-in, and honestly, it'll mean the world to that person. And as we know, attrition in dentistry is an absolute nightmare. Trying to find good people now is harder than ever before. And if our teams, you know us and trust us and like that, feel valued within the organization, you'll keep them. So it's really important to get this right, and it just takes a bit of conscious effort and a little bit of your time.
Yes, indeed. So, so the main benefits then would be a happy team, then, is what you're saying.
Happy team, a team that feels, I suppose, psychologically safe. And we kind of throw these words around, psychologically safe. What does that even mean? Basically, that your team feels safe to speak up. So if there was something that they're worried about, that they feel it's okay to kind of say something without there being repercussion. They feel okay to contribute. They could say something like, listen, we've always done it this way, but I worked in another clinic and we tried it this way and I found it a bit more efficient. So that they feel safe to kind of bring that up. Maybe they could like to challenge a certain thing within the business. Again, kind of saying, look, I just don't agree with the way this is done. Can I try X? And if they can, you know, if they feel safe and they want to do that, they could change something within your business in a really positive way. But if they don't feel safe to speak up and just bury everything, first of all, mistakes will happen in the business and you'll never find out about it. So you won't be able to find your blind spots and you won't be able to bring stuff to the surface. And, you know, once you have the awareness, then you can do something about it. So we fundamentally need teams that feel safe within an organization. Well, also, if they don't feel safe, their creativity is diminished. They're not as productive. They will just kind of go into a state of fight or flight or freeze, and they're not going to perform at their best within your business. So there's so many reasons why this is really important for business performance and human performance, and to have a nice culture and a happy team and a happy dentist and happy patients.
So it's not just because really, I mean, quite often when people come out with when you're talking about emotions, especially in a profession as technical and detail oriented as dentistry, it can sound a bit sort of like airy fairy.
Yeah, big time. Well, I'll flip it in a different way, I suppose. I know we're talking about leadership at the moment, but again, I suppose we have to lead our patients. Patients come in, no matter how lovely everybody in the team is, no matter how lovely the dentist is, there's an element of fear that a patient comes in at. There's just something ingrained that being a dentist is a dangerous place. Okay. So when they're coming in, their nervous systems are already heightened. Okay. So when they come in and they sit in the chair, number one, they're afraid of pain. Number two, they're afraid of the fear of judgment. Oh my God, what are they going to say about my mouth, right? Because not many people get that intimate, right? So anyway, the nervous system, again, at a subconscious level, starts going a little bit crazy. They get a little bit nervous. Again, the brain shuts down because they're gone into a bit of that freeze. And all the questions that they wanted to ask, they forget. And then they leave because they just want to go out to somewhere safer. And this is happening all the time. And this is why I say to dentists, like, you need to have internal like marketing and information and booklets and stuff like that, because patients are so nervous. They're forgetting the questions that they want to ask, and especially around cosmetic work. So the nervous system, and I think we really need to be aware of this, the nervous system is literally shutting their brain down when they're in the chair. And we need to find ways to make them feel safe and make them feel relaxed, so that again, the system calms down, and then they allows them to relax and ask the questions that they want to find out more about the treatments.
Does that sort of increase plan uptake as well? You know, treatment plan uptake, because the people are in more a receptive frame of mind.
100%, absolutely. Well, number one, they're asking the questions, so the conversations are being opened up. But number two, patients, this is important, patients are more informed than they ever have been before, right? They are doing their research. Trust me, they're looking at several websites, they're going onto ChatGPT, they are looking. So if they have liked your website, they have made the phone call, they've liked what they've heard on the phone, if they've come to the trouble of going to your clinic, because when was the last time you spoke to somebody who wasn't busy, right? Everybody is so busy at the moment. So if they are sitting in your chair, there is a massive level of commitment in their mind and they are informed. So literally they are coming in to say, do they like you? Do they trust you? Are they confident that this clinic is going to provide the care that they need? And this is what they're kind of scanning and they're watching for everything. So again, we have to be including them in the conversations. We have to be using visual tools so that they feel part of the solution and they can see the outcome. Because I don't know about you, Hazel, but if I was going to buy a car and somebody said, oh, we have a lovely car, I'm not going to hand over a few thousand without seeing the outcome or seeing what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Same with teeth, okay? We have to be supporting conversations with visual tools. This is a non-negotiable now, especially if you're selling treatments that are high value and very expensive. Patients are justifying price now more than ever before, so they've got to see what they're getting for their money. Really important.
It is extremely important. I agree with you. So you actually use a method called LENS, I believe, and that's an acronym. Yeah. Do you want to talk to us a bit more about that?
Absolutely, yes. So the lens method is something that I've created, and it's what I work with my clients. I work with practices one-on-one, and I do it in a lot of my workshops and trainings. So been coaching quite a while. So, my background is neuroscience coaching, executive coaching. I've also done work in neurohypnotherapy and also somatic work as well, which is kind of to work with the body and emotions and kind of, what's going on inside, basically.
Yeah.
And because of this approach, I take a 4D approach to working with clients. So I say 2D is kind of the original coaching where you're looking, this is your goal, let's just set a step-by-step strategy. And that's all well and good. But what I find with a lot of clients, and again, especially with dentists, is they know what they need to do, but they can't take the action. So with the 4D approach, we have a look at number one, the neurological. So sorry, the L is the logic.
Yeah.
That's obviously the traditional to-dos. LE is the emotion or the energy that they bring to their business.
Right.
N is the neurological side of it. So that's like, what is their belief system? Like, what is their thought patterns? What are they holding on to that maybe not be helpful? That's stopping their progress. And S is the social aspect. So that could be your team culture. That could be your environment, your social side of things, your support system. So all of that is affecting, how we're performing, how we're showing up, how we're making decisions on a daily basis, right? So if a dentist comes to me and they're like, I can't, well, I know what I need to do, or I kind of know what I need to do, I just cannot move forward. I have to take a look at, well, listen, first of all, how is your energy? How are you showing up to the business? And they're like, I just cannot take anything else on. So when we have to nearly take a step back from the strategy side and set that foundation for them. So we call this, have you ever heard the term a window of tolerance?
Oh, no. What's
So
that?
we all have like a window of tolerance. So basically, when we're in this nice little window, we're kind of calm, we're grounded, we're just in a good kind of solid place. And when we're constantly stressed, we can go kind of outside of that window of tolerance. So we can go up into hyper arousal. So that's kind of like high energy, nervous energy, and a bit anxious. That fight or flight is up there. We are just running nearly on high. Now, some people will slip into that when they're very stressed. Other people will go into hypo arousal. So that's nearly like a state of numbness, freeze. Some people will retreat. So they'll kind of, won't go out that much, dreading going to work, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of recognizing when you're outside that window of tolerance and thinking, okay, now I'm pushing myself a bit too much at the moment into that middle ground, or a place of power is another way I kind of refer to it, because in that place you can handle difficult conversations. And again, this comes back to the limbic part as well. If your nervous system is heightened, trying to deal with challenging patients or your team dynamics or any of that kind of stuff is nearly the straw that broke the camel's back, so we need to work on getting somebody back into that window of tolerance so they can make the difficult decisions, so they can make the right decisions. Because when we're not feeling good, we're going to pick the path of least resistance, which is often not the right path for somebody. Okay, it's just easier to give in to a team member if they want to take a day off last minute or whatever it is, but ultimately it'll have a knock-on effect, because then everybody will expect that time off. So we need to be kind of making sure that people are operating from that nice, strong, grounded window of tolerance.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the neurological side of it. And then the emotional side of it, then if we're looking at, say, more the neurological side, if you were a leader and you're, I suppose, thinking, I always have to be there for my team, I always have to answer my phone, I have to be available evenings and weekends or my day off, because that's just what a business owner does. Nobody can operate on that.
No.
Going forward. Okay, absolutely not. So we need to work on what are your belief systems around that. Like, why are you putting so much this extra pressure on yourself? And again, it's maybe their parent did it, or this is what they feel like they should be doing as a leader. But if you're outputting all the time, again, you're going to head towards burnout. huge problem. And actually, I was mentioning, I worked with Chris Barrow recently. We toured around with this Extreme 100 group, and part of the presentation was showing people the different ways burnout shows up for people. And it was amazing, because I was asking, what's your sign of stress and burnout? And first of all, a lot of people didn't know, but the people who did, it was so interesting to hear some of their answers. And it was kind of a light bulb moment for other people in the room.
Yeah.
And with burnout, people kind of wait until they've pushed themselves to that point. What I want to do is help people smell the smoke, not wait until the house is on fire,
Yeah.
So this is the kind of the lens. We're not just looking again at the strategy. We need to make sure that everything else is in place so that people are, I suppose, operating and performing at their best.
You are a person first, aren't you, before you're a leader?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that, they go hand in hand. It's like if you're on the plane and something's happening in the plane, you put your oxygen mask first. And I think sometimes dentists need that reminder, because they're helping everybody else, and sometimes they just forget to look after themselves. But that's where it starts.
But I suppose that's one of the occupational hazards of being in a caring profession as well, isn't it? So people do need this reminder now and again that, okay, while they are delivering care to other people, they need to care for themselves as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who benefits from this type of training and attitude?
Everybody. So yes. Let me tell you, Hazel, absolutely everybody. As I said, my niche is dental, because dental is my background, and that's where I feel the support is needed. But, God, I work with people, just any individuals outside of that, for different things that they're going through in their life. And I suppose it's raising the awareness of how people's thought patterns and how their, emotions, their energy are kind of maybe sabotaging their progress. So it's just raising that awareness so that you get these light bulb moments of, no wonder I couldn't take on another thing, or no wonder I couldn't move forward, or okay, now if I break that down a little bit, it's a bit calmer on my system. It doesn't feel as overwhelming in my head, or, so it can show up for loads of people. And I suppose with the lens method, with dentists, it can work one-on-one. You can work it in teams, because our teams operate out of that as well. So it's good for us to understand the lens of how we can get our teams to perform at their best, and also the way it shows up in how patients are making decisions. Patients, again, we don't make decisions logically. If I won the lotto, I'd go out and buy a Ferrari. Was that the logical thing to do? Absolutely not. It would depreciate as soon as I drive out of the courtyard. But would it feel good? Oh my goodness, it would feel good. Patients are the same, right?
Yeah.
So exactly. They have visualized themselves on that stage, on that date, whatever it is, with this beautiful, confident smile. That is what they're buying into, right? If they decide to have the high-end treatment work. So we have to understand the emotional experience of the patient as well. So yeah, it can benefit really a multitude.
Yeah, so a lot of it is about motivation, definitely, isn't it, from what you've said? Yeah. So so is this the sort of thing that, would help people in everyday life, not just in business as well?
Hugely. And if so I'll talk about I suppose the non-dental. And funny, I have two clients at the moment like that. They're real go-getters, real goal setters. They know what they want, and they are so frustrated with themselves because they cannot take the action. They are just stuck in that space. And when we kind of peel back the layers and take a look at them again as a human being, like, you have so much on your plate. Your energy, if I did my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they were at a 1. Well, how can we keep pushing if we're at a 1? We only have a certain amount of fuel in the tank, even as humans. So we need to build the human back up. I can do that, but there's loads of different ways of doing that, but really taking a person back to base and just keeping them there, keeping them calm, and then they'll be able to go, move forward with much more clarity and just confidence in kind of what they're doing. But we have to be realistic about, look, are you, how many plates are you spinning? Are you able to spin another plate? So it's uncovering kind of what is going on for somebody at a 4D level, as opposed to just, let's get the job done.
So is the neurological importance of things, how does that fit in as well?
Yes, and actually this is important. This is again people's belief systems, the thought patterns. We believe our beliefs are facts. Okay, there's actually the word lie in the word belief. Okay, and when I'm working with my clients, I'm like, you have to challenge your thoughts. If they're positive and they're constructive for you, great. If they're holding you back in some way or making you play small, we need to challenge and figure out what's going on there. Now, what I see in dentistry an awful lot is dentists want to do more cosmetic work, for example, But there's a belief system in there that what will my peers think? Maybe somebody else could do it better. Am I qualified enough? Because dentists are so particular and so good at what they do, but they feel like they have to be the best. And that comes with such a massive layer of pressure. And what happens is imposter syndrome kicks in, lack of confidence comes in, this comparison trap. They're looking at their peers online with these beautiful photos. And it is holding them back for even showcasing their work online and again, showing them to the patient. But we have to show the patients the work, because trust doesn't start when they sit in that chair. It starts with what they see online, and patients are looking at different socials or websites or whatever it is. So it's so important, if you want to do more of the work that you enjoy, you have to kind of move through that imposter syndrome and move through that self-doubt. And again, that's an area that I work with, I suppose, dentists on, but with a lot of people across the board, imposter syndrome is just chronic. Everybody, it shows up for everybody, and especially when you're doing something a little bit outside your comfort zone or something that's a bit new. So that's really, the neurological side of it. We take an awful look at belief systems to help people work through and, I suppose, level up in some way.
Yeah, and challenge them. Yeah, as you say.
Challenge them.
Thoughts and beliefs are not facts, as lots of people will say. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and our brain tries to keep us safe. It tries to keep us in our little comfort zone. So my job is to help them move through that.
Which is scary.
It's so scary. It can be. But there's a gorgeous line, and I love this. The magic is on the other side of the work you are avoiding. And that's going to mean a different thing to so many people. Funny, I used to have a horrendous fear of public speaking many years ago, and I had to do a mountain of work to get through it. But I did it, and I said it showed me that I was capable of so much more than I thought I ever was. And because of that, now I work for myself. I speak, internationally. I do workshops, full day workshops and stuff like that. It opened up a whole new world for me. And that's what I want to do for other people, because I know what it's like to be stuck. And these belief systems are so sneaky, because we're walking around with them day to day, and we just think this is the norm. It's a kind of a fixed and a growth mindset piece. So the fix is just kind of blinkers on, don't like challenges, stay within the comfort zone. But if you can stretch outside of that into your growth zone, oh my goodness, like it really does open up a whole new world. So it's helping people make that transition and helping them see what's possible outside of that.
That must be really quite fulfilling for you.
Unbelievably. I am buzzing after my sessions. It's unbelievably fulfilling. And like to hear somebody say, I never thought I would do that. I can't believe I did that. Like, it's beautiful. It really is. Yeah, really special.
Oh, brilliant. Well, look, I've really, really enjoyed talking to you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Hopefully people will get a bit more interested in this kind of thing. And you can, and also it would be great if you could do some more work with us as well, maybe another podcast sometime.
Love that.
Brilliant. But it's been brilliant talking to you, Lisa. Thank you so much for your time.
And you thoroughly enjoyed it. That's great. Thanks.